Welcome to my nightmare. That was my first nightmare. There has been many that follows. This is a '01 club car, all aluminum, and it was one with a dump bed on it, just so you have a little bit of reference of what I'm working on. And this is not the original motor. That is a 2002, excuse me, my thumb's going nuts there, a 2002 Kawasaki Vulcan 800cc water-cooled engine. And there's the original engine right over there that came out of this thing with a whopping 11 horsepower. This has 60. So where did this thing come from, and why is it in the golf cart? Well, why it's in the golf cart is obvious, because it's not supposed to be in the golf cart, and it looked like a fun thing to do. Where did it come from? It came from this thing right here. This is a '02 Kawasaki Vulcan, or once was, and now it doesn't have that big part right there anymore, so it's not really what it looks like. Is all my buddies that come over, dude, we could put an engine in that. Yeah, well, guess what? So when I got this motorcycle, the wiring, they were going to turn it into a bobber, and they abandoned the project. So the first thing I did was I wanted to hear this thing run before I pulled it out of there and tried to do all this work to put it in. So it took me about a week to figure that out. I still know nothing about wiring, but if you lean into it, grind, and when you get frustrated, come back. Always come back, never give up. But let me explain to you a couple of things I've learned. And one thing is real easy about when you're running into a blind project like this. First, make sure that you've got the right damn schematic. This is the right schematic, and it took probably a couple of hours online to find the right one. Let me push in here a little bit. So these schematics are kind of cool. And in one way, when I was looking at this thing, when you're trying to isolate problems, you can make a copy of this, but take all these lines out. Take every one of them out, and just put the components around the outside here. Now you can even go a step further and delete everything except for the components that you want to deal with. So let's say we were talking about just making this thing run, no lights or anything like that. We're going to need the alternator, the rectifier, we're going to need the starting relay, we're going to need the battery, and then we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to find all the safety switches, any sensors or anything. The side stand switch, that's one. The clutch switch, where is the clutch switch? The clutch switch is somewhere around here. Anyway, trust me, there's a clutch switch, meaning that you got to have the clutch pulled in. Oh, here it is right here. Got to have the clutch pulled in. So that's got a starter lockout on it. This here's got a starter lockout on it. And so it's all really kind of just common sense if you stop and think about it, and think about it in small pieces instead of all in one whole. Because if you think of it in a whole, as a whole, man, it's going to drive you crazy. Then what's going to happen, like they did with this one, they cut the wires to the ignition, trying to bypass it or whatever. Well, Kawasaki's got a really cool thing. This won't be true for everything, but they've got a little 6-volt resistor that goes to this thing here. We call them control units. They're called a whole bunch of things, but it's called an IC igniter in this world. So, and if it doesn't have power through that 6-volt resistor, it thinks it's being stolen, so it won't start. And that's what got me, because it's not in any of the manuals. It's not even here. And that's when you're going to have to rely on forums to help you out. But when you're trying to read one of these things and break down what is what, and you have a wiring harness that looks like this, and you're trying to make sense of it, well, how do you do that? Well, this is the way that I've learned, and this is what works for me. So I just found this connector here, okay, and this connector, if you can think of it without any of these tabs on here, or these little telltales. Okay, I'm looking at the end of the connector, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for an actual connector inside of the connector. Okay, you know, an actual copper titty there. So there's 9 of these here. Okay, if this was a 9-hole plug but only had 8 wires, you got to keep that in mind, because when you come back over here to the schematic, we're not going to be looking for 9 wires. We're going to be looking for 8, even though it's a 9-wire plug. So that's what I did. I said, okay, well, I've got 9 wires here and a 9-wire plug. And I come back over here. Now, each one of these blocks here, that's a plug. Okay? And one thing that'll throw you, there's 2 sides of that plug. There's a plug on the harness, and then there's a plug on the outside. So, like the headlight, it has a plug that goes to it. The even the blinkers. See the blinkers, each one of these, this is a plug, this is a plug. And when you look at that, you'll see a single like this here. Single. See, there's your left turn, and there's your right turn, or right turn, and then like your reverse light, that's going to be the same thing. It's going to have little connectors like this. But right now what we're looking for is 9. So the 9 is a pretty big damn connector. So let's go to this, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's not big enough. We know it's going to be bigger than that one. And we've got 2 bigger lines here. So it's going to probably be one of these 2. And that's what I seen. So I'll come up here, and this is the actual first one I looked at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it could be that one. And then this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. I got 2 9-wire connectors. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to refer to the wire colors. Okay, so one thing that you noted, like I just said, wires are sometimes different colors on the other side of the plug, like this here. And I probably won't be able to find one for you just to reference. Oh, here we go, right here. So this is we know over here on the side that L stands for blue, B is black, W white, R red, G green, GR is gray, but L is blue. That one threw me for a little while. Okay, but see right here, you got red and blue, R and L. But on the other side of the connector, those are both black. So if you're looking at the other side of the connector that's not part of the wiring harness, and you have that, that's fine. You can look for those colors, but we don't have that. We just have the wiring harness. So I'm looking here for, I've got these 2 here, I've got to trace back, but they're probably a blue, yellow, and blue. And blue, yellow, blue, and then we've got a red, blue, a red, white, a red, blue, a blue, red, a brown, white, and then that's a red and a black red. So come over here and you start looking at these, and some of the colors are there, but see, like there's a green. I didn't see a green in there. There's no just solid green wires. But look down here at this other one, and look, there's a green. So green, orange, and gray. And what do those 3 guys do? That's the turn signal switch. You know, on a motorcycle, you click it left to turn it off. You push it, click it over to the right. So the orange and gray is probably right, and the orange and green is your left. So I came over and I found my orange, my gray, and my green, and I tied all them together and put turn signals switch. Okay, well, there's 1/3 of the problem here with this switch, or this wiring connector. So then let's see here. There's the horn, but the horn, it's got to have a ground. But so you just mark that one horn, but it needs ground. And now I've got everything except for What is this? It looks like a blue, yellow, a red, and a red, yellow. Red, yellow, blue, yellow. What was the other one? Well, let's just go one at a time here. These are the last three. So I've got a red, yellow, and a blue and yellow. All right, let's see here. Red, yellow, blue, yellow. This is the dimmer switch. So the dimmer switch has got 3 wires: red, yellow, blue, and yellow, and red and black. Some of the wires could have a double meaning too, so you have to look out for that. So I've got red, yellow, blue, yellow, but I'm not seeing. Oh, that's red and black. Is that what that? Yeah, red and black. Okay, so all of these here is for your dimmer switch. You see what I am getting at with this video. So let's see, I'll turn this on, clear my last, and I will put in DIMMER space and SW. I can't find these dadgum things because I'm used to texting now. Let's say imprint. And one of these things here is worth its weight in gold when you're doing a project like this. I tried it with blue tape, and you know, you can't read your writing. I can't read mine anyway. I get frustrated and start scribbling, and then it gets smeared. All right, so now this is the hardest part of the job, is getting the dead gum back off the sticker. I can actually show you a trick how to do this with blue tape, but I don't have any blue tape left. Alright, let's see here. I'm going to go back over here to these 3. And I'm going to isolate those. Any of the switches or plugs that I had on the motorcycle, I'll try to rescue and reuse. But in this case here, I don't have the other side of this connector. It was already stripped off the motorcycle. So what I will do is I will go through and individually bust these apart and either isolate them, cap them off if I'm not going to use the function, or if I am going to use the function, put those to another connector. I use hobby connectors because I'm in the hobby business. So you'll see a bunch of AT6 connectors or Dean's connectors or whatever. And then I'll go ahead and wire my item in and come and plug into this thing. And it's just a slow, tedious, step-by-step process. So what I decided to do, because I had this on the bike, I plugged that in, and I'm going to put me a pipe, just part of the handlebar, just got the little hole so it doesn't turn, and I'm going to mount this right up here on that handlebar. So I've got my start switch, my on and off. You know, instead of having to buy switches, I can paint that up and make that look really cool. And I promise you, when I get done, it will be really cool. Now, the other problem that you're going to run into sometimes is you got wires coming off the motor, like this one here. It goes to a sensor on the front of the motor, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. So when I want to come down here and I start looking around for sensors, so this is an oil pressure switch, And then here is a neutral switch. So the neutral switch is black, and the oil pressure switch wire is black up into the connector. Now see, we're on the outside of that wiring harness right now, so we're at this color change. And this is going to go to a blue and red. The other one is going to go to a blue, and what is L with a small g? Light green. Okay, so I'm looking for a light green wire. There's one, and I've already marked this one not used because I didn't know what it went to earlier. And what was the other color? Was blue and red. And here is a blue and red. Okay, and these guys here, look at that, they're kind of isolated. So now I'll be able to name both of those, and I know where those go. I've got all my connectors, let's see, for the tail. And you know, I think I am almost there. I've got, let's see here, we've got 1, 2, that's a 6-pin connector, but I only got 5 pins. And there is a 6, but I'm only using 5. And these two here are capped off for Lord knows what. But I don't have to worry about them, so okie dokie. What does this say here? Oh, side stand closed to run. Okay, closed is when it's up. So I've got 2 6s with 5s. And we'll go back over here, and we're going to try to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the ignition switch, and oh, one thing I've got to look at here. I've got a brown wire. I've got a brown wire, I've got a gray wire, and I've got a white wire. And I see this white wire here goes back to the fuse block, so I'm going to go up here to the fuse block. And there's my white wire coming out of the fuse block if it's not focused. And then I'll chase this down. See, I've already got that one highlighted yellow, and it splits. And what it does, it comes down to the rectifier. This one here goes over, and it comes back up, and it goes over to that ignition switch. Well, look at there. So, looks like I tapped into this thing early. Let's see here. One of these is going to be the ignition switch. I bet you. Now, see, there's my gray. I don't see a white. I don't see a white. So now I just need to investigate, and I'll chase that down. I hope this video helps you. When you're looking at a schematic, be sure and look over at the diagrams to see what these little guys mean. This stuff here will help you out immensely. And I knew that, but when I started looking at this thing, I forgot to look at these because I was overwhelmed with all this going on. Also, like I said, you can isolate all these lines in the middle. Just do this and put a piece of paper over that whole center part, and then you can start running wires from point A to point B where you need them ran. Then you can refer over to the other one, and you can see where those wires go. It'll all start to make sense slowly and surely. But hope this little how-to trace this stuff down helps you, because it was a little epiphany that I had, and it sure has helped me because I'm not a wiring guy. But I made this work.